Dude, as the days go by with these trenches and with these defensive tackles that we have, man, it is just, God, by God, we're so lucky right now. We're so lucky to have the trenches and how this team has been built by Howie Roseman and just Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. There were some videos that came out on some one-on-ones, and Jesus, my God, I can't even describe how happy I am. So overwhelmed by it. I mean, we saw a little bit of a glimpse in the Ravens game, but then when you see these guys like during some drills, you see the difference in power, but it's my God, I got to talk about this, no doubt. I want to talk about Howie Roseman and how much pressure he does actually have on himself this year and why. And I want to go over Tyrie Cleveland as well, because I think there's a lot of good things to say about him and, why Brian Johnson loves him so much and why he's getting targeted so much, even in the last preseason game. There's a lot of things that did come out, which I kind of wanted to talk about. So let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. I hope everyone's enjoying their work week. We do, by the time this video is made or uploaded, this is before the second preseason game, and hopefully everyone enjoys that. Hopefully see more things out of it too, which is good. Closer and closer to the NFL season. We are getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. First, we were worried about when we were getting to training camp. Now we're worried about when the season's coming, and it's coming quick. Pause. But I got to talk about the trenches, and it's obviously a video coming out on Jalen Carter, just what he could do with his hands, just the agility that he has, quick explosion off the line, pushing guys back. And I don't even care, okay, about if he's facing a first stringer or a second stringer. I don't even care. If this was a third stringer and he was struggling, okay, I get it. But this is just annihilation. This is carnage. This is, I don't know. You literally, if I swear to God, I'm going to be watching Will Anderson this year, because if that guy doesn't do a damn thing with the Texans this year, Jalen Carter was the best player in this draft. There's no, I won't even say much more about it. I mean, that's where I come to the realization of it, that I think Jalen Carter will be the best player coming out of that draft, and the Eagles got him. The Eagles got him. Being in the Super Bowl and still got the best player, which is unheard of, and that's credit to Howie Roseman for all of that. And then Jordan Davis is obviously showing off his bull rush and just annihilating. I mean, really, at the end of the day, who are you going to double team here? Even that Ravens game, you saw Jalen Carter get, they double team Jordan Davis, and literally, I think that was him next to Jalen Carter, and Carter was just had that one move, finished, totally finished. And the great thing about Jalen Carter is he is a football junkie, and he watches tape. I mean, he watched tape before a damn preseason game of who he might face. I mean, that's just, for a preseason game, not for a regular season game, for a preseason game. So he puts a lot of time in a tape study as well, which is pretty cool. But these two, how our offense is going to attack this defense, I mean, I don't even know. I really don't. Unless you're going up-tempo to tire these guys out, or you're just doing quick passes, you're not doing play action because you don't trust your line holding up. These offensive lines facing Philly's defensive line, they better make sure that when they get into a game that they have no injuries to the offensive line going into that game, because I'm telling you, it's going to be trouble. It's gonna be beyond trouble. I'm telling you, Sean Desai is gonna exploit whatever the hell's going on. So you better stay healthy, teams out there that need their offensive lines 100% for these games, because the Eagles are not messing around, and you have two fantastic players. And I understand Jordan Davis kind of second-guessed himself after that injury. He says he second-guessed himself. He didn't feel great about himself. And when you start doing that, you're not playing up the potential. I think he was a top 13 defensive tackle against the run last year until he got hurt with the high ankle sprain. They signed Linval, they signed Sue, and I think the one thing that, is going to avoid Jordan Davis being a total bust is to maintain his weight, The Eagles got to make sure they maintain his weight. They do a good job with him, and he takes care of himself as well, and has to stay healthy this year. And that's the most important thing, because Jordan Davis looks like he did lose weight, but he looks like he gained some of it back, but looks more leaner. So that's a good thing. His motor seems to look really good right now. And on top of that, you got Nolan Smith. On top of that, you got Hassan Reddick and Brandon Graham. I mean, on top of these two getting pressure. Okay, I don't care if they're facing. I mean, what was this guy that he faced? What, 6'6", 6'5", 320 pounds? First, second, third string, whatever the case may be. If it was a third stringer, like I said, if it's a third stringer, shutting down one of our starting defensive tackles, then yeah, I would be a little worried. But this is what I expect every single snap. And it's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely insane, and I can't wait for just the season to get here and to see this whole thing in action. You got Reddick and you got Graham on the edge. I mean, you can have Nolan Smith as a Sam linebacker just hunting at the line of scrimmage, making quarterbacks nervous. I mean, just the combinations you could do with this defense, this pass rush is just going to be. I mean, it's hard for me to say if it's going to be under 70 sacks this year. I mean, it's really tough to say, because I'm telling you, it is. Wow, it is kind of crazy right now. But I have to give respect to the secondary, too, because I feel like there will be a lot more interceptions this year, more than last year. I think Reed Blankenship's going to have a nice year. But, I mean, just fantastic with both of these guys. Had fantastic camps. Every time we see video of this, we just freak out because we don't get enough of it. We had one with Jalen Carter in the Ravens game, and then you saw these couple clips from the Browns joint practices, which is kind of crazy. Now, I think really all the pressure is going to be on Howie Roseman this year. You may not think it, but it is. You drafted 2 defensive tackles in the first round. This is what involves Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, okay? Howie Roseman's going to have a lot of pressure. Now, Howie Roseman, after this year, has one more year left, I think, on his deal as the Eagles GM, which I think he'll get re-signed anyway. I'm not really worried about it because, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman's pretty much like a stepson to Jeffrey Lurie at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, you took a swing at 3 defensive linemen in 3 years. Okay. Because to be honest with you, you have to make sure Jordan Davis has a fantastic year. He's got to have a great second year. Jalen Carter, I don't know whether he gets double-digit sacks or not. He's going to be disruptive, and that's all I care about within his first year. All I care about. Okay. But going into the future of this team, and with certain players that you can't bring on one-year deals back again and again and again. If Fletcher Cox plays good this year, then you can bring him back for another year. If you want to keep doing that, whatever you want. You know what I mean? Brandon Graham, if you want, you know what I mean? So you're going to be losing guys, and obviously you drafted guys to replace those veteran players that have been here for a while. So it really counts on these new draft picks to really produce, and hopefully the coaching staff helps these guys become successful. And I feel good about Sean Desai right now. I have to see it with my own 2 eyes with this defense. I feel good about Brian Johnson and the offense. So, 2 new coordinators this year. So I'm not we got 2 new coordinators this year, but I'm not really even worried that much. I'm really not. As much as you get 2 new coordinators, you'd feel a little, oh my God, so much is going to change so much. Yeah, things are going to change all right with the offense and the defense, but for the good of everything. Because I don't think this offense has reached its potential. I don't think, obviously, this defense hasn't reached its full potential of what it could do. I think last year would have been more of a historic year if we had a defensive coordinator that had an actual brain and had creativity to get, pressure on quarterbacks. And obviously, yes, we had the sack numbers, but we could have done so much more. And obviously, the Super Bowl was a big part of that. You get to the last game and you totally just had the biggest choke job of all time. It is what it is. But Howie Roseman, yes, I mean, taking chances on a lot of guys, drafting a lot of guys from the SEC, from good schools, and, really changing the ways of our drafting, of our trading, of our, free agency, a lot of different things. And obviously a lot of loyalty with this team to come into it as well, because to be honest, like, sometimes loyalty is a good thing in the NFL, and sometimes it's really bad. It leads to really bad decisions. But with the Philadelphia Eagles, between the culture and everything else, people buy into it and will take less money. Fletcher Cox came, it took a $5-6 million pay cut. James Bradbury could have got paid $15-16 million a year, and he came here for 12-13. You know what I mean? Like, guys are coming back and, are buying into this, and that's a good thing. So because you could potentially lose Brandon Graham after this year, Fletcher Cox, you know what I mean? Like, you have Reddick for another year after this year. You still have some good pieces left, and after what's leaving, and if the Eagles do well, if they win a Super Bowl this year or something happens like that, there's going to be a lot of players that are probably going to want to come back and run this thing again and again and again, because winning is just it's intoxicating. It is. Winning heals everything. Like how Nick Sirianni acts the way he does, and there's people out there that really complain about him too much and say, "Oh, he's unprofessional." And dude, if we're winning games like every single week, he can act the way he wants. I can care less. I have no problem with a coach being a coach and a coach being, somewhat who he is as a person and kind of bring his personality into it. So just wanted to discuss that. And I think, Howie Roseman's done a flawless job. I mean, it's really up to the coaching staff. I don't even blame last year on, I would never blame last year on Howie Roseman. It's on the coaching staff. You don't put players in bad positions to win football games. To lose football games is even worse. So I think a big pressured year by Howie, but I'm not worried about job security or anything like that whatsoever with him. And then kind of going into Tyrie Cleveland is just an interesting one. I would say of the better receivers that has had a really good camp and obviously in preseason. Now, what the difference here, okay, wide receiver, you have Covey out with a calf injury or hamstring, whatever it is. Okay, you have Quez Watkins that's out with a hamstring injury right now. Okay, it's a problem. Covey having a roster spot just as a punt returner is a problem because he cannot do anything else. And he's not even a good punt returner yet. We can't even call him that yet. He got better last year, but I can't overstep and say, oh, he's great, because he's not right now. Because this special teams is horrible. So for a guy, are they that desperate to have Covey have I think it's a waste of a roster spot. I think it's a waste. Simple as that. If the guy can't be a starting receiver, or not even a starter, just if a guy can't produce with this offense and just be a punt returner, it's a waste. It just really is. And I mean, if the Eagles are making cuts and other teams are making cuts, they have to try to find somebody because it's ridiculous. Okay. And Quez Watkins is missing some valuable time right now, which is giving more guys opportunity. But what the difference maker is going into this season, which we haven't had in years, okay, is that the Philadelphia Eagles actually had a promising third quarterback. You bring 4 quarterbacks in the camp. You got your starter, you got your backup, you got 2 other guys. The Eagles drafted Tanner McKee, okay? And he was flawless in that Ravens game. No athletic ability whatsoever, but man had a Nick Foles cannon. Not even kidding. Really accurate. It is so nice to see that our third, how many times in every preseason and every offseason we had a third, fourth string that can't do a damn thing, can't give the receivers good looks. These receivers, like Tyrie Cleveland, trying to get a roster spot, and they just can't give good looks. It's not like Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball. It's not like Marcus Mariota is throwing the ball. Even Marcus Mariota isn't great at passing right now, but has had, he's moved up on some days. He's been playing a little bit better. Can't do too much about it. But realistically, it's nice to see a third-string quarterback in the lineup actually give receivers that want to try to make this team, good looks. Because it sucks when, you have a receiver out there that, could have a lot of potential, and maybe there's potential that in the foreseeable future that we can't guess because we're not fortune tellers, and then, has no career, doesn't get a spot, or just on practice squad, and no team will ever know if this person could have been this type of receiver, a successful receiver in the league. And I think we're seeing, out of this wide receiver group, this is the most productive wide receiver group I have ever seen. Most productive. I have never seen a wide receiver position so deep. Joseph Ngata. I mean, I'm not saying Jaden Hazelwood has done anything. He's caught a couple catches, but Ngata's been playing good. I think Tyrie Cleveland, out of even sometimes, more productive than I know, Alamati Zacchaeus. Okay, I'm not saying his name wrong, but Zacchaeus is getting more opportunity now, which I think Zacchaeus has a roster spot. I think the Eagles keep 5 receivers. I do. With Covey being there, as much as it pisses me off because he can't do anything else and it's a waste, okay, I think Quez is your starter. And if something happens with Quez, I mean, you got other guys. Zacchaeus can play inside and outside. He's more of a pure slot, but you can move him around if you want. The Eagles have him, as an Eagles receiver, you have to know X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's what the first, and his favorite position is the wide receiver position. Tyrie Cleveland has been with Brian Johnson before, which is interesting as well, in Florida. I don't know if I think he was the OC at the time. When Brian Johnson was the OC at Florida at the time when Tyrie Cleveland was there. So did not even know that until this morning, which was kind of weird. I didn't really put too much into Tyrie Cleveland. We signed him last year, I think, right before the divisional game against the New York Giants in the playoffs. And went from a Denver Broncos team that went 5-12, barely had any opportunity, and that team was just a dumpster fire. Goes to a team with a stable front office, a stable, good group of players, and a bunch of guys that are buying into this culture. And look what it just does to a player being surrounded by that. And Tyrie Cleveland has taken every advantage he could with this team. He has done a fantastic job. He has been probably the most productive receiver we've seen because Quez is hurt, not enough. I mean, Quez has lost some countless really important days, especially joint practice. You don't want to miss those days. Hopefully we'll see more. And Zacchaeus has been pretty good, used at certain times. Like, I think he's had a pretty strong camp. Now you're kind of looking for that fifth guy. Covey's already is already landed as a roster spot. You're obviously, you have Devontae Smith, you have AJ Brown, but could Tyrie Cleveland really change a lot of things here? Deion Kane has been hurt way too much. He was out like 6 straight training camps. Don't know if he's even going to have a shot at this point. Maybe he gets more opportunity in the second preseason game now since he is fully healthy. But Tyrie Cleveland, and they were, what's funny? The funny thing is, I don't know if it was just reads by Tanner McKee, but they were throwing to him a lot in that game. A lot. There was a couple missed ones. One was kind of overthrown, a couple missed ones to Tyrie Cleveland, but he caught everything that was in his way. He gets separation. He did great against the Browns on the one-on-ones. He did fantastic. You have a really good, a really deep receiving core of productive guys. Johnny King, another third street. He's on third team and he's getting separation. He runs a 4.4 for his height. 6'4", 6'5", whatever he is. You know what I mean? You have a really good group of receivers right now. I mean, a productive group, and you got to pay attention to it. This has never happened with us because we're getting good looks. And we have a good team, and we have good pressure, and good pressure, the culture is really good, and not even that, but iron sharpens iron at the end of the day. Like if you have good players on defense, it's gonna make these offensive guys a lot better. And you see the true colors of what these players are. But Tyrie Cleveland has every opportunity right now to kind of take it, grab it by the horns, and get this roster spot. And I think that it could happen, So I'm always rooting for the underdog guys all the time, guys that we don't hear their names too much or, they're starting to come up a little bit, and Tyrie Cleveland is definitely one of those dudes. So that's all I got to say. Nothing but great, nice things about Tyrie Cleveland, and has been probably one of the most productive, besides our starters and Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, has been one of the most productive guys. And not even that, but he played on that Ravens game on Saturday, and he still produced against the Browns first, second. I mean, just catching everything towards his way, which is great. And he tracks the ball really well. He's got great strength going up to pinpoint the ball, which is awesome. He's got great eyes. So we'll see what happens. But Tyrie Cleveland definitely is an interesting one, very interesting one indeed. So wide receiver group is great. Well, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Now, we went over, obviously, Jalen Carter just mauling people to death. Jordan Davis just being, the bull rush and stampede he is. And it's just great to watch, this defensive line coming together. And then, obviously, going over Howie Roseman, the pressure on him, drafting a lot. His draft picks have really got to shine, this year very well, especially Jordan Davis, probably most importantly. This is your future of your team. It starts in the trenches, and it's very important. And then obviously Tyrie Cleveland. So guys, let me know, what do you guys think about Tyrie Cleveland? And honestly, what do you think about, is there a lot of pressure on Howie Roseman going into the season with the draft picks from the past 3 years? And what do you think of it? So other than that, that's pretty much it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, Shakes what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.